Look at me. Right now, I want you to stop whatever you're doing and really look at me. I'm going to ask you something, and I need you to be completely honest with yourself. When was the last time you felt truly light, not happy for a moment because something good happened, not distracted by pleasure or entertainment, but actually light, like you could breathe all the way down to your belly without that invisible weight pressing on your chest? Most of you can't remember, can you? I see you sitting there, and I know this weight. I carried it for 30 years myself before I understood what it was. Listen to me carefully now. You're walking through life with your hands full, completely full. You're gripping your opinions about how things should be. You're clutching your possessions, your relationships, your reputation, your image of who you think you are. You're holding on to past hurts like precious treasures. You're grasping at future outcomes that haven't happened yet. Your hands are so full, so desperately full, that when life tries to hand you peace, you can't receive it. You literally cannot hold it because there's no room. Let me tell you what I discovered after 20 years sitting in meditation, after countless conversations with suffering people just like you and me. The pain that keeps you up at night, the real deep suffering that follows you everywhere, it doesn't come from what happens to you. No, no, no. It comes from your desperate, white-knuckled need to hold on to things that were never meant to stay. Your attachment is the boulder you're dragging up the mountain while wondering why the journey is so exhausting. The Buddha taught us about something called tanha. This word means thirst, craving, desperate, wanting. And you are thirsting for permanence in a world where nothing, and I mean nothing, is permanent. You're standing by the river demanding that it stop flowing. Can you see how exhausting that is? Can you feel it in your body right now? But here's what I promise you. When you start to detach, really detach, not just think about it, everything shifts. Not because the world changes, because you stop fighting reality. Take a breath with me. Let's begin this journey together. Raise your hand if you've ever tried to control someone else's behavior. Come on, be honest with me. All of you, right? Keep them up. Now keep your hand up if you've ever tried to control how someone feels about you. Yes. Now keep it up if you've tried to control outcomes at work, in relationships, with your children. Look around. Every single hand is up, mine too. We're all doing this. Let me tell you a story that changed my entire life. I was sitting with my teacher one morning, completely frustrated because one of my students wasn't progressing the way I wanted. I said to him, "Master, I've explained this teaching 10 different ways. I've been patient. I've been clear. Why won't he understand?" You know what my teacher did? He laughed, actually threw his head back and laughed at me. Then he looked at me with those eyes that see right through you and said, "Tenzin, you're standing in the river trying to make the water flow upward." I sat there stunned. He continued, "Water flows down. That's its nature. You can stand there pushing against it. You can get angry at it. You can exhaust yourself trying to change the fundamental nature of water. But the river will still flow down." Do you see what I'm saying? This is what we do. Your partner doesn't respond the way you need them to, and you spend hours, no days, months, years trying to change them, explaining, manipulating, hoping, demanding. Your children make choices you disagree with, and you lie awake at night replaying conversations, strategizing your next intervention. Your colleague gets the promotion you wanted, and you spiral into resentment, creating stories about fairness and what you deserved. You're standing in the river pushing against the current, and you're wondering why you're so tired all the time. Here's the truth, and I need you to really hear this. You control almost nothing. Wait, don't close down on me. Stay right here. You control your breath right now in this moment. You control where you place your attention. You control how you respond to what life brings you. That's it. That's the complete list. Everything else, it's happening according to causes and conditions far beyond your manipulation. And here's the beautiful part. When you accept this, when you really let go of control, you discover peace that doesn't depend on circumstances being perfect. Listen to me very carefully right now, because I'm going to tell you something you don't want to hear. Everything you love will be taken from you. Everyone you cherish will eventually leave. Through death, through distance, through change, your health will decline, your youth is already disappearing, that job you have, it won't last forever, that house you love, temporary, your children will grow up and build their own lives without you. I see some of you tensing up. Tenzin, why are you being so dark? This is depressing. But look at me. This isn't pessimism. This is reality. This is what the Buddha called anicca, impermanence, and your desperate refusal to accept it is creating most of your suffering. Let me share something personal with you. When I was 32 years old, my closest friend from the monastery died, no warning. Healthy one day, gone the next. I was completely destroyed, shattered. For months I walked around angry at everything, angry at life, at death, at the unfairness of it all. I had convinced myself that our friendship was somehow special, somehow exempt from the laws of nature. One evening my teacher found me sitting alone in the dark. He didn't offer comfort, he didn't pat my shoulder, he just asked me one question. Did you think you could hold on to him forever? Those words cut through everything. In that moment, I understood. I hadn't been grieving my friend. I'd been grieving my expectation that he would always be there. The pain wasn't from his absence. It was from my resistance to his absence. Do you understand the difference? When you truly detach, you don't love people less. No, no, no. You actually love them more, because you're fully present with them now, without that shadow of fear constantly hovering over everything. You hold them gently, appreciating them in this moment, rather than clutching them desperately while worrying about losing them. Here's what I want you to do right now, and this is going to be hard. Think about someone you love deeply. Really picture their face. Now say this to yourself. One day this person will not be in my life. Don't run from it. Sit with it. Let it crack your heart open. Because when you truly accept impermanence, every single moment becomes precious. You stop waiting for the perfect time to say I love you. My dear friends, I want to talk to you about the prison you're living in right now. This prison has no bars, no walls, no guards, and yet you can't escape it. You know what this prison is? It's your own mind, and the warden, the one keeping you locked up, is your belief that every thought you have is true and important and must be obeyed. Right now, as I'm speaking to you, thoughts are arising in your mind. Maybe you're thinking, this makes sense. Maybe you're thinking about what you need to do later today. Maybe you're judging yourself for not paying perfect attention. Maybe you're replaying something that happened yesterday. Thoughts, 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 an endless stream. And here's what's happening. You're treating every single one like it's a command from the universe that you must follow. Let me tell you about my first 5 years in the monastery. I was tormented by my thoughts. Meditation would begin. I'd sit down, close my eyes, and within 10 seconds my mind would spiral. You're doing this wrong. You're the worst monk here. Everyone else is progressing except you. You should just give up. You're wasting everyone's time. On and on and on. And I believed every word. Those thoughts felt like absolute truth. Then one day something shifted. I was sitting there and a thought arose. I'm failing at this. But instead of diving into that story, instead of believing it or arguing with it, I just watched it, like watching a cloud pass across the sky. The thought came, floated through my awareness, and dissolved. It had no power except what I gave it. Let me say that again because this is crucial. Thoughts only have the power you give them. You are not your thoughts. You are the awareness witnessing thoughts. Do you see the difference? A thought says, I'm not good enough. You don't have to believe it. You don't have to argue with it. You simply notice, oh, there's a thought about not being good enough, and then you let it pass. Here's your practice starting right now. For the next 24 hours, every time you notice a thought, just label it. Worrying thought, judging thought, planning thought. Don't fight it. Just name it and watch it go. You'll discover space between you and your thinking, and in that space, freedom. But Tenzin, they always ask me, and I know you're thinking this too, if I detach from everything, won't I become cold? Won't I stop caring? Won't I just become passive and stop participating in life? Look at me. This is where most people completely misunderstand everything I'm teaching you. Detachment is not indifference, it's not apathy, it's not becoming a stone with no feelings. Real detachment, the kind that transforms your life, is actually the foundation for genuine love, for real engagement, for true presence with what's happening. Let me tell you about a woman who came to see me 3 years ago. She was completely broken. Her adult son had been struggling with addiction for 5 years, and she had spent every moment trying to fix him. She'd paid for rehab multiple times, cleaned up his messes, bailed him out of trouble, sacrificed her health, her savings, her marriage. She sat across from me sobbing, I love him so much. How can you ask me to detach from my own child? I looked at her and asked one question. Is your attachment helping him? She stopped crying, just stared at me. I said it again. Your desperate need for him to be different, is it healing him or is it enabling him? Your inability to let him face the consequences of his choices, is that love or is that your fear? She sat with that for a long time. Then I watched understanding move across her face. True love, the kind that actually helps people, requires detachment from outcomes. She needed to love her son completely while releasing her grip on his choices. She needed to support him without rescuing him from his own life. This is the art. When you detach, you don't stop caring about your goals. You stop being destroyed when they don't manifest exactly as you planned. You don't stop loving people. You stop trying to control them. You don't give up on life. You stop being enslaved by needing results to be a certain way. Think of a surfer. She doesn't control the waves. She can't make them bigger or smaller, but she's not indifferent to them either. She's completely engaged, totally present, responding with skill to whatever comes. She works with the ocean, not against it. This is how I want you to live. I need you to understand something right now that took me 15 years to fully grasp. Life will bring you pain. This is absolutely guaranteed. You will experience loss. You will face disappointment. Your body will hurt. Your heart will break. People you trust will betray you. Dreams you've poured yourself into will crumble. This is part of being human. There's no avoiding it. But suffering is what you add to pain through your attachment, your resistance, your stories about how things shouldn't be this way. Let me show you exactly what I mean. Two people lose their jobs on the same day, same company, same situation, same initial shock. The first person experiences the pain, fear, uncertainty, that sinking feeling in the stomach. These emotions arise naturally. She feels them fully. Then she accepts what happened. She allows the feelings to move through her, and she begins taking practical steps forward. The pain is there, but it doesn't become suffering. The second person experiences that same initial pain. But then watch what happens. His mind takes over. This shouldn't have happened to me. I don't deserve this. My life is ruined now. I'll never recover from this. I'm a complete failure. He replays the moment of being fired over and over. He spirals into resentment, shame, catastrophic thinking about the future. The pain becomes suffering because he's attached to the idea that things should be different than they are. Do you see it? The pain was identical. The suffering was optional. One person added layers and layers of mental anguish on top of the actual experience. The other didn't. I learned this during a 3-month silent retreat. On day 47, I developed excruciating back pain. Every time I sat to meditate, it was torture. My first response was to create suffering. This is so unfair. I came here to practice, and now my body is betraying me. This shouldn't be happening. Why me? Then I remembered the teaching. I stopped resisting. I stopped the story. I just experienced the sensation itself, throbbing, burning, aching, without the resistance, without the story about how it shouldn't be there. Something remarkable happened. The pain remained, but the suffering dissolved. I could be with the physical sensation without adding mental anguish on top. This is what changes when you detach. You stop living in constant fear. Right now you're avoiding so much because you're desperately trying to avoid pain. But pain finds you anyway. When you accept this, you become free to actually live. Let me tell you what happened to me when I truly started to detach. Not the surface kind where you say the right words but still grip tightly underneath. I'm talking about real deep cellular level letting go. First thing I noticed, my body changed. The tension I'd been carrying for decades in my shoulders, my jaw, my stomach, it began to release. I didn't even realize how much energy I'd been using just to hold on to everything until I stopped. I started sleeping through the night for the first time in years. My breathing deepened. My hands, which had been clenched into fists my entire adult life, finally relaxed. Second, my relationships completely transformed. When I stopped needing people to be different, when I stopped trying to control their responses to me, something beautiful happened. They felt safe around me. My students started opening up about things they'd never shared before. My family stopped walking on eggshells. Real connection became possible because I was finally present without an agenda. Third, and this shocked me, my effectiveness in the world increased dramatically. You'd think detachment would make you passive, right? But the opposite happened. When I stopped being paralyzed by fear of failure, I took bolder action. When I stopped obsessing over outcomes, I made clearer decisions. When I stopped defending my ego, I learned faster from my mistakes. Now I want you to imagine your life with this freedom. Really imagine it. Picture yourself waking up without that immediate clench of anxiety about all the things you can't control. Imagine having conversations where you're fully present because you're not constantly calculating how to get what you want. Imagine facing challenges with curiosity instead of panic because you're no longer attached to everything working out exactly as you planned. This isn't fantasy, my friends. This is available to you right now. today, this very moment, but you have to actually practice detachment, not just think about it. Let me be completely honest with you. The path isn't easy. There will be moments when letting go feels like dying. Your old patterns will scream at you to grab back control. I still have days when I catch myself clutching. The difference is now I notice, and I have the tools to release. What I promise you is this: every single thing you release creates space. Space for peace. Space for joy that doesn't depend on circumstances. Space for the life trying to emerge through you. My dear friends, we've come to the end of our time together, but really, this is just your beginning. Everything I've shared with you about impermanence, about releasing control, about witnessing your thoughts, about loving without grasping, all of it means absolutely nothing if you don't practice. So let me give you something concrete to walk away with, not someday, starting right now. First, every morning when you wake up, before you reach for your phone, before your mind fills with the day's demands, take 3 conscious breaths. With each exhale, practice releasing. Release your agenda for how the day must unfold. Just 3 breaths, that's how you begin every single day. Second, throughout your day, notice when you're gripping. When you're talking to someone, are you attached to being right? When you're stuck in traffic, are you resisting what is? When someone disappoints you, are you clutching your expectations of how they should behave? Just notice it. Awareness itself begins to loosen the grip. Third, before you sleep each night, reflect on one thing you held too tightly that day. Maybe an outcome at work, maybe your image in someone's eyes, maybe an old resentment. Acknowledge it without judgment. Then imagine placing it in a river and watching it float away. Practice this until you feel the release in your body. I know what you're thinking. Tenzin, this seems too simple. Good. It should. We complicate everything. The path isn't about complex philosophy. It's about moment-by-moment practice of letting go. You'll have setbacks. You'll find yourself attached again, gripping, controlling, suffering. When this happens, and it will, don't add suffering on top of suffering by judging yourself. Simply notice, smile at your very human nature, and begin again. This is the practice, beginning again and again. Let me leave you with this. 20 years ago, I was drowning in attachment, suffering constantly, convinced that peace required perfect circumstances. Today, I live in the same imperfect world, facing the same human challenges. But everything has changed because I changed my relationship to all of it. You have this capacity right now. Go. Practice releasing. Notice what happens when you stop fighting reality and start dancing with it. Share this with others who are suffering, and remember, whenever you forget, take a breath. Come back, let go. Again and again, you're not alone. Go in peace, my friends.